Hello, welcome to Persevering through Toxicity. My name is Matthew Gullion. I've been with the police force as well as fire, EMS, and church leadership for 10 years with church leadership, 20 years with emergency services. And through that, I've been through numerous toxic environments. And today I'm going to share you just some of the information that might help you or assist you with persevering through toxicity as I have found it. And one of the reasons why we need to discuss this and why this is so important is because toxicity is everywhere. And Stephen Smith writes in Doing the Work Within the Work, the inside job, is unless we continue to know what is true, unless we continue to do these things, erosion will happen in our heart, and we drift and we become complacent, and we ignore the threat within. Like David being King David from Scripture, from the Bible stories that we read, we find ourselves doing things we vowed we would never do, like quit the job and move away from the retirement. We leave our families and do all kinds of reckless decision making that really do create a lot of destruction in our lives. So we vow we never do these things, but we do them because of the erosion of our hearts. He says we lower our guard because we're tired, and that's truly what happens in a toxic environment. When you are in a high level of toxicity, you get incredibly tired, incredibly tired. So why does resilience matter? Well, resilience matters largely because of what the outcome is. Compromised emotional health, compromised mental health will lead to bad things. But then we also have this compassion fatigue. Like we hear these stories and the gossip and people's events and the things that happen. And what takes place, all right, is we feel like we're there. We get this, our compassion is fatigued. We lose compassion. When we lose our compassion, we lose our patience, we lose our perseverance, and our complete resilience is compromised. Now, the end result of this is why it matters. The end result is first self-denial. So self-denial is the denial of your self-interest. So you have these interests in your life. You love things. You enjoy things. You have these hobbies. You have these needs, the wants, desires. You have these things, and you're just going to flat out start denying them. That's like phase one of depression. It's phase one of giving up. The next thing is self-deception. Now, this one gets a little trickier because what you're doing is you're not deceiving just other people. You're deceiving yourself. And in deceiving yourself, you're allowing yourself to believe a false reality. You're like believing a false positive. There's this, you're denying and also having some deceptive tendencies on your emotional state. People say, "Hey, how you doing today?" "Hey, I'm fine. We're doing great." And you like overcompensate the greatness that you wish you felt, the what you hope to feel, and you're just deceiving yourself and others. And then there's these deceptive behaviors, actions, and words. People that are involved with drugs, they live a deceptive life through their behavior, their actions, and their words. "I'm fine. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that." But meanwhile, they're stealing. Meanwhile, they're hurting other people. And the end result of this is self-destruction. Now, self-destruction is not just physical. You can also be being self-destructive spiritually. You can be self-destructive professionally. I've been in a couple of incidents, I've observed them, where someone just was fed up and they take this job and shove it, the old country song, and they just blow up their entire profession. They blow up their job, and that ultimately has a whole litany of destructive actions that take place and consequences such as not getting income, not being able to support your family, all these other things. We need to really pay attention to the end result and try to avoid these things. So what is resilience? I'm telling you why resilience matters. Well, this is what resilience is. People that are stressed, particularly with negative stress, they have a ton of negative emotions that just come in, and it just floods them and overwhelms them. And it's, people have different levels of anger, anxiety, and depression that comes with stress. There's another term called trauma, different traumas. Some people have a big capital T trauma. Some people have lower T trauma, but all trauma leaves its mark. All stress, positive or negative, leaves its mark. And some people remain trapped in these negative emotions. So what is resilience? Well, resilience is the ability to spring back into shape once you're deformed. It's the ability to spring into what you were before you were impacted, before you were affected. So resilience is the ability to spring back into shape before being deformed. So it absolutely starts with you, folks. It starts with you. That's the whole thing about persevering through toxicity, resilience. We are supposed to be informed by our environment, not transformed by our environment. And too often times we find ourselves being transformed when we should be informed. And we take the information that we have, and then we try to figure out a way that we can take our transformation of perseverance and then transform our environment. See, we're going to go through a quick journey today, and this journey, it starts with the self-assessment. You got to know your identity and how to fuel it, how to feed your identity before we can do anything. Because if you don't know who you are, you don't know what it takes to develop perseverance and resilience in yourself. And then once you figure that out, once we get the self-assessment underway, then we have to go in this rhythm. Life is not a balance. That's what a lot of people say. Well, a balance. Let's look at a balance beam here real quick. The old balance used to have a heavy weight on one side and a light weight on the other side. And the very moment that you finally get it balanced, if anything, a feather, if you will, goes on one side or the other, you're immediately out of balance. So all it takes is one little thing to knock you out of balance. The other thing is you can get a false positive of being balanced. Those old weighing machines, over the years, when you go back and forth, that middle section that everything balances on would get worn and it would become flat. And then it would be flat, and then you would think everything's balanced, but then one day it just kind of falls off all at one time. So it's not a balance. Life is a rhythm. Everything's a rhythmic flow. Your heartbeat, your breath, the way you walk, the stride, the music that we enjoy listening to, the wind and the air, even the rain itself puts off a rhythm. So life indeed is a rhythm. Then we're going to talk about the wall. Now, the wall is an interesting place. We're going to get more into it, but everything we do is going to prepare us for the wall. See, the wall can be a day, it can be a week, it could be a month, it could be a year, it could be a season, it could be a lifetime. But the wall is a place where the results are contrary to your effort. You wish that you could do more, but you're stuck at the wall. Now, rest is not sleeping, folks. We all like getting our beauty rest or there's mattresses called rest and stuff like that. And we're not talking about sleeping. We're not talking about closing our eyes and going into an unconscious state and REM and the rapid eye movement stuff. We're not getting into all that. Rest is peace, folks. Finding your moment of peace. So let's get started here. We're going to go to the self-assessment first, and you got to ask yourself, how do you feel? How do you feel? I mean, let's not make a joke out of it. Let's not come up with excuses or justifications or I've had a long day or a long morning and I had to have my coffee. So no, get beyond the surface and ask yourself, how do I feel? What's my emotional health right now? How do I feel emotionally? How do I feel physically? How do I feel spiritually? Many of us may say, I emotionally am tired, I'm physically tired, and I am spiritually tired. Some of us may be saying, I'm angry, I'm disappointed, I just feel sick. I just can't get my life back together. I feel lost. I feel abandoned. And the other thing is, how do you make other people feel? Because if how you feel and how you make other people feel, that's how you tell whether you're in just a self-denial state, maybe, or you're in a self-deceptive state, or maybe you're in a self-destructive state. How you feel versus how you make other people feel will tell you where you are and the decline of resilience and the decline of your self-denial, self-deception, or self-destruction. Look at your time and your health and your opportunities. Like, what's your routine? See, if you don't take enough time to invest in your health, you're going to get sick and stay sick. If you don't take enough time to invest in the opportunities you have. What do you mean by opportunities, Matt? Well, what I'm talking about is, say you're in a financial burden, and the boss says, "Hey, look, I have some opportunity here for overtime," but yet your routine and how you live your life is so strapped, you can't stay a little extra and work for overtime. Maybe you can't work that side job. Maybe your friends invite you to go out on a kayaking trip or a hike, and you just say, "No, I'm not able to. I don't have time. I don't have time." If your time is so strapped that you can't enjoy different opportunities with people, with friends, maybe an opportunity to read a book, maybe an opportunity to exercise, if your time's that strapped, then you need to really ask yourself about your routine. And your routine, are you getting enough rest or maybe too much rest? Are you overactive or underactive? Are you sleeping all the time or are you working all the time? But this is the other thing. Are you able to work, play, sleep, or are you just working and sleeping? There's no play. So this takes us to this point. Now, if you have a piece of paper or you have something you're taking notes with, what I encourage you to do is just fold that paper in half. Fold it in half, much like this paper is. Just fold it in half like this to where you have two sides. And what you're going to do on the one side, you're going to write fills and drains. And the reason you do this is most of us are visual learners. And when we write things down, we remember them. And a lot of times when we write things down, we naturally commit to them. We find ourselves owing the words that we put on paper. So on one side, you're going to write fills. What fills you? These are the things that bring you joy and happiness and peace, rest, maybe excitement, maybe adrenaline. Maybe there's going to be something over here like your children or your grandchildren, or your nieces and nephews, family, things that just naturally put a smile on your face, things that just get you into the next place of love and joy and laughter. But on the other side, you're going to write down the things that drain you. It's going to be the things that kind of really just put a damper on things. Now, this is what's kind of interesting here, is some things that fill you can also drain you. Sometimes your children can drain you when you have to be a parent and discipline, and it drains energy out of you to exert that energy into parenting a child. Maybe a family member you love, and it really fills you when you're around them, but they also do things repetitively and disappointing like that drains you. But there's also drains, natural drains, like maybe going to work is a drain. I mean, we're talking about persevering through toxicity. Work very well could be a drain. Maybe there's some colleagues or certain tasks. Bills are a big drain. Maybe studying and other things. What drains you? What fills you? Now, Wayne Cadero, he's a pastor of a church in Hawaii, and he's planted numerous other churches. He's also a leadership consultant. He teaches leadership, formational leadership specifically. And he's the one that first brought this to my attention, that our body and our life is like a large vessel. It's a container that holds things. Now, it wants to hold whatever is filling us. So if the outlet of draining is larger than the inlet of filling, naturally you're going to empty yourself out very rapidly. If what's going out of you, what's draining you, is greater than what's filling you, then you're going to be empty. And Wayne Cadero calls that a dead leader running. It's a dead leader running. You're barely able to function in whatever environment you're in, whether it's toxic or not toxic. You have a hard time surviving because you're literally running on the little bit of fuel that you're getting at a time. In fact, you're very, very close from crisis, actually. Now, this is the other thing I want to bring to your attention. Any great organization has a mission statement, a vision statement, and they have their core values of what they believe in and what they're going to be dedicated to. Now, the last I checked, the human body is made up of numerous organs. We have skin, a stomach, a brain, a heart, different limbs. We have all kinds of living parts of our body. And if we put all of those living parts and organs together, we have an organization. We're organized. All the things about us, though they have unique functions, are all put together in unique functions into one body, and we call that the human body. In the business world, we might call that an organization. So if every great organization has a mission, vision, and values, and we are like an organization, then we need to know our identity through mission, vision, and values. What is your mission in life? It's not just your purpose, it's what are you going after? What's the drive? What are you looking to obtain? How are you going to do it is the mission. How are you going to do it? Your destination is your vision. That's what you hope to see. That's what you hope to obtain. That's where you want to be, is your vision. The mission is how you're going to get there. And then the values are those things that you are not going to compromise. You're not going to compromise them. Faith, hope, and love. You're not going to compromise them. Boldness, courage, and liberty. You're not going to compromise them. See, we're too willing to compromise in our society, and those compromises. And if we continue to compromise our identity, see what happens is we all have an identity. It's in there, but it's just waiting for us to learn it. It's waiting for us to wrestle with it. It's waiting for us to take ownership to it. It's waiting for us to fuel it and feed it. But if we don't know our identity and we can repeatedly compromise and erode away our identity, what we do is we live with an internal crisis. It's a crisis of identification. It's an identity crisis. So we need to find this heart power. Now, this heart power, I love this from Vince Lombardi. It says, once a man has made a commitment to a weight of life, he puts the greatest strength in the world behind him, and it's something we call heart power. Once a man has made this commitment, nothing will stop him short of success. This heart power, it's a force. It's an inner compelling force that you will not compromise under any situation. Now, if I was to bring in a person from Scripture with immense heart power, it would be John. John, one of the disciples, he was with the women at the foot of the cross with Jesus. He was not willing, the amount of faith he had in Jesus, he was not willing to compromise and flee like the other disciples. So this heart power that John had compelled him, propelled him, and launched him to the foot of the cross during the crucifixion of Christ. See, once a man has made this commitment, nothing will stop him. We can just stop right there. Nothing's going to stop him. So we got to keep a rhythm, folks. Once you have your identity, once you know your mission, vision, and core values, once you determine what your fills and your drains are, and you have them itemized and they're identified, now we got to create a rhythm of life. See, life is not about just sleeping and doing and then repeating that the next day. See, there's supposed to be moments of time where we're not doing and we're not even being. We're just resting, or we're enjoying, or we're loving. We're exercising our faith. We're exercising our joy. We're exercising our love. But this comes in a rhythmic flow. It comes with how we manage our time and our health and our opportunities to increase our spiritual health, mental health, and our physical health. A great example of this is if you look at Winston Churchill during the early 40s, from about 1939 to 1945, when Winston Churchill was not only the prime minister, but he was also the minister of defense during World War II. He had a very, very unique rhythm of life, and he developed a rhythm of life for that season of his life, and it maximized his total potential and his overall well-being and fitness for duty. See, one of the things I do, for instance, if I have to be at work at 7, which most of the time I work a 7 to 3 type shift, I wake up 2.5, 3 hours early. And some of the things that fill me are just to name a few, is scripture, reading scripture, praying, worshiping, reading a book, drinking a cup of coffee, quiet time. See, I put nothing but fills on that first 2.5 to 3 hours of my day. I fill myself up. There's no drains there. And see, I prepare for that the night before. See, all these fills and adding those fills in your rhythm, what happens is sometime during the day, drains are going to start coming, folks. And a rhythm already has things planned and strategized to maximize our potential for success, to maximize our potential for resilience, to maximize our potential of persevering through toxicity. But the wall may still come. And many of us are either at the wall or approaching the wall. See, this is a place where we feel stuck, we feel blind, we feel bound, we feel chained down, we feel suppressed, we feel oppressed. We feel that we are not getting the results of our effort. We worked really hard. I should have gotten that promotion. I worked really hard. I shouldn't have to deal with this person belittling or that bully. I worked so hard. I should be getting acknowledgments or awards or accolades. Why aren't I getting these things? Am I a failure? Am I a complete failure? Do I need to just give up? I'm going to quit. Maybe I should just quit now. And I'm telling you, when you're at the wall, you're emotionally broken. When you're at the wall, you have this physical isolation, mental isolation. There's a depression that comes over you, and it's a sorrow, a grief-like sorrow, like something has died. Folks, what I want to tell you to do is when you get to this place, the self-assessment and the rhythm of life has prepared you for such a time as the wall. Because what I'm asking you to do is rest, but don't give up. I'm asking you to rest peacefully. Don't go to sleep. Don't get down. You're still going to be doing things. You're still going to be being things. You're still going to be uh, up and consciously aware of what's filling you. See, I went through a terrible moment of a wall earlier this year. And the first 3 hours of my day is scripture, prayer, worship, reading, quiet time, and drinking some coffee. So what I did was I extended my rhythm. I changed it a little bit and I extended these rhythmic flows of my life of fills where I did just that numerous times a day. I set aside many hours to fill. Because when you're at the wall, you want to be patient and you want to be humble. Patient and humble. You want to be looking for grace, looking for mercy. But you're going to be doing that while you're filling yourself. You're going to go for walks and hikes and do the things that really bring life back into you. You're going to rest, but you're not going to give up. You're going to probably still have to go to the same place that put you in the wall, the toxic work environment, the toxicity around you. You're going to have to still continue through that valley. But you're not going to do it alone. You're going to do it with help, support. You're going to do it with all those things that fill you. You're going to do it with your mission in mind, with your vision in your sight, and your core values in your heart, and you're not going to compromise. Now, this last element is rest, folks. Smith says this, that every great output of energy, listen, plan and schedule a time for input. It doesn't say anything here about sleeping. Rest is about inputting. When your phone is getting ready to die, you give it a rest, you plug it in. Your computer is getting ready to die, you give it a rest, you plug it in. And while it's plugged in, it's filling its energy up. It's getting rebooted. It's getting recharged. Well, we need the same thing. But what Steve Smith is telling you is you got to plan and schedule it. Rest is a part of your everyday routine. It's a part of your everyday rhythm. Everyday rhythm, folks. Rest is essential. He says, give yourself what brings you life, what fills you. You got to give yourself permission to live abundantly, and not just work. So, folks, what I'm saying to you is this. As we review this charting the journey, you got to know who you are. You got to know your identity. And then you got to know, how am I going to feed and fuel this identity? And that's how you develop that rhythm. That rhythm is what keeps you set. It's what keeps you moving. It's what keeps you grinding. It keeps you from giving up at the wall. Now, this is something I learned. I'm 38 years old, and I have hopefully a lot more years to learn and gain wisdom on this earth. But one thing I have learned is if your environment is transforming you, if you're conforming to your environment, the toxic environment, and it's making you quit, the greatness of success is just on the other side of quitting, folks. The greatness to success is on the other side of quitting. What I mean by that is many people are at the brink of a great breakthrough, but they stop. They quit. They give in. They give up. They walk away. Now, we're talking about leadership, folks. True blue leadership perseveres through toxicity. True leadership says, I will not be transformed by the environment. I will not be. I'll be informed by the environment. I'll be transformed by things that are far greater than I and this toxicity. And it's that transformation that you bring to the table of a place of toxicity that makes you a leader. First, probably an informal leader. People just naturally flock to those of positivity, those who are looking optimistically at the successes that are in front of them. people that are goal oriented, that have a mission and vision, people that are unwilling to compromise their values. See, they're the people that we're all looking for. That's a leader. They're the people that through humility and patience, they walk through the wall, folks. They walk through it. And then rest after every great output of energy. You need to plan and schedule a time for input. What fills you? Be aware. So I want to share this with you. Is some resources. It may be a little small on your screen, but one of the books I highly recommend. It's point number 6. It's Stephen Smith, Inside Job: The Work Within the Work. I don't work for Potter's Inn. I don't work for Steve Smith. It's one of those books that greatly influenced my soul care walk, my resilience, passion, uh, this persevering through toxicity. Um, Stephen Smith and his book really ultimately changed how I do things. So I encourage you to look there. And this is just a little bit about me. Now, if you want more information, or if I need to do a personal one-on-one or something like that, email me, give me a call, text me. We can work something out. I have other courses that are much longer than this, 90-minute, 2-hour courses, and I can even develop a customized 6 to 8-hour retreat. But all of it's focused on resilience and resilient leadership, resilience in soul care, resilience in emergency services, resilience in ministry. Listen, persevering through toxicity. It's no secret we are in a very toxic time in media and politics and work. Just our culture has many toxic elements, and many people are falling for it. They're falling for the fakeness of the toxicity. And I say fakeness because, listen, you don't have to succumb to toxicity. You can persevere through it. And you can be the leader that everyone's looking to, that everyone's wanting to follow. People want to follow healthy leaders. Healthy leadership starts with you and making a decision to invest in you. And that's the first part of this investment in you, is investing in what this leadership summit, what Inspire to Lead is presenting and giving to you. So if you need anything from me, contact me. But until then, God bless you. Thank you for spending this time with me. And I hope to see you in person one day. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.